Justin Gaethje is set to defend his BMF title against Max Holloway at UFC 300. In a recent interview with Kevin Iole, Gaethje details the dangers in fighting a guy like Max. He went on to say when it comes to being ready for Max Holloway, he's a cardio machine. One way that he can beat me is to sustain damage and be able to put more pressure and outperform me in rounds 3, 4, and 5, specifically championship rounds 4 and 5. Just like any other fight, the legs go first, so I'm working on my legs, working on getting those in shape. My feet are special, and when I can control someone's feet, it is very hard for them to hit me. Max is one of the best fighters in the UFC. He's very awkward. When you fight awkward, he's not awkward in a bad way. Awkwardness can be an ally for you in there. Sean Strickland. A lot of guys find success with their awkwardness. The way they move a different way than they are supposed to move. I think he creates angles and he's really long for being 145. His reach is very long. His ability to counter-strike when you're done punching and be on you with pressure and punches is incredible. His experience is second to none. Max Holloway also did an interview recently regarding this fight. Max responds to MMA fans who are worried about him moving up a division because when he tried it back in 2019 against Dustin Poirier, he lost. Max said, "Oh, they love it, man. A lot of people love it. When I first threw up the tweet in October, people were going crazy. Of course, there's some naysayers saying what happened the last time I went to 155 with the Poirier fight, the second one. It is what it is, you know. That was so many years ago. We're attacking this time way more smarter. No excuses for the last time. I'm not making no excuses, but I have 4 or 5 years of growing up, being smart, and doing things the right way. I just can't wait. There's always going to be naysayers. In this sport, you're only as good as your last fight, so I'm going to go out there and do my thing at UFC 300. I'm going to go out there and do what I've been doing for my whole career, just proving the naysayers wrong." Alex Pereira and Glover Teixeira spar in the middle of the street. Dricus Du Plessis claims Sean Strickland admitted he lost before the scorecards were read. On the Super Sports podcast, Dricus said he came to me in the cage. I think this is the first time publicly I'll say this. He came to me in the cage right before they announced me as the new champion. I went to him and I shook his hand and I said, "You're a warrior, well done. It was a great fight." And he said, "No, you definitely beat me." He said to me, "You deserve it. You won that fight. You beat me." I said, "I also think so. I have to agree with you on that." After I won the fight, you could see in his face, he knew. Eric Nicksick gives his assessment of Sean Strickland versus Dricus Du Plessis. Eric reveals some of the things he was telling Sean to do during the fight.
Initially thought we won rounds 1 and 2. 2 being close. I didn't know how they were going to score the takedowns. But I got to admit, like, what kind of messed me up was I looked down at the apron and they showed the live odds, like the graphic. So I looked down and I saw, we were minus 200 after the first round, minus 325 after the second round. I might be wrong, but I remember seeing the odds being in our favor.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, so if there's people in the world that know what they saw, it's people with money on it. You would think. So I'm like, okay, it reiterated my thoughts that we won round 1 and 2. Again, this is MMA. It could change at every moment depending on who's in the seat. But I felt pretty good about 1 and 2. And then, when John wrote me, I haven't watched it back. I remember saying that in round 3. But we started, to me, where after round 1, I thought we fought the round perfectly. Round 2, Kenny, we got away from the one thing that I wanted the most in the fight was our teep. We got away from it.
Right.
And I jumped on him after round 2 because remember, the teep works differently for every opponent. It served a different purpose for Izzy, but for this fight, it was very important for us to, and I kept telling him, flatten the tires. That was knocking the wind out of the body, man. Yeah. Flatten the tires. That was one. Number 2, it kept distance management. It didn't allow him to come running forward with those weird combinations. You stick him right to his belly or stick him right to his chest, and it stops that. We got away from it there. And also, it gives another scoring criteria for the judges to see, right? And if it's just a jab, it's death by 1,000 paper cuts. But now you start adding in the kicks. Well, now the optics look a little bit different. You have a 2-seam fastball, and now you got a cutter, right? Both fastballs, but they're both working well. And that was my thing after round 2. It was like, man, we got to get back to that teep and start chopping the legs a little bit more and flatten the tires. So just little things like that. Those things are going to bug me the most.
Dan Hooker is interested in fighting Beneil Dariush. Dan says that if Beneil wants to figure out if he's still got it, he'll help him find out. Speaking to Engage, Dan said, "I'll fight Beneil in June. Whether that be Conor McGregor's card International Fight Week, if he's just pulling everyone's chain as he usually does. I hear the UFC is coming back mid-year sometime in Australia. That as well. It would be cool to fight close to home. So Benny is ranked above me coming off a couple of losses. But let's go, baby." He's come out and said, yeah, he wants to see if he's still got it. Well, I can check, brother. I'll check for you. Khamzat Chimaev gives Darren Till some cologne because he says he smells like
What? I don't have money if I watch it for you. Now you're not gonna smell the Time to smell good for once. For once, yeah? Last time was so good, it was smelling a man, so that's why I bring you apart from me. Smelling really good. Hey, watch yourself.
Luke Rockhold recalls the first time he met Sean Strickland. Luke tells a story about him and Sean sparring while he was hungover.
But there's that extra follow-up shot. Like guys like you know what I noticed was that Sean Strickland, he's that guy that just like doesn't care. Like he'll try to kill you.
Ooh. Like
Sean Strickland like walked into Ruka one time and like he was such a loudmouth idiot. I was like, who the f is this guy? I was so hungover. I was so annoyed. I was like, I'm gonna get on and spar this guy. I was like, I can't even take it. But I've seen him like he'd hurt a guy in the gym, and he'd hurt a guy with a head kick. There'd be like 30 seconds left. Pereira would be like, he'd wobbled and he'd be like, Pereira would be like, oh, keep going, finish the round. Instead of like what most people would do, would try to work with him, especially when you're on someone else's turf. Sean went straight back to that head kick and tried to knock him out multiple times. There's 30 seconds left in the round. The kid's done. Show yourself as a man and step up and try to just finish the round rather than just go back to the well and knock him out. So right. I remember we got into a little brawl for one round.
How was he when you sparred against him?
He's tricky. He's a little tricky guy. But I went to the bathroom. I put paper towel. I wrapped it in my teeth like an old school wet mouthpiece, and I was swallowing that thing, sparring him hungover. It was close.
Yeah.
It was a close round.
Yeah.
I would love to get him. I'd love to get him back out here.
He's calling a shot. He's calling a shot.
I know.
And that's going to wrap it up for the news. Thanks for watching. For daily MMA news and content, subscribe to Full Mount MMA and click the bell icon to be notified when we post videos. Here are the 3 top comments from last video. The first one's from Nate Marks. It says, Merab is actually funny and less cringe than his BF Aljo. The second one says, Merab was killing me. And the final one says, Merab's humor is underrated. Those were the 3 top comments from last video. If you want to be featured in the next one, all you have to do is comment down below. And if you missed yesterday's news, click the video on screen right now to get caught up.